Welcome to another episode of the Thriveless Manifesto. We have a special guest this evening. Our guest is Kamar de los Reyes. Kamar is a theater, film, and television actor. Latest role is Job in Sleepy Hollow. Best known for his role as Antonio Vega in One Life to Live for about 10 years. And my favorite role is Raul Menendez in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which everybody knows the game, 2012. Anyway, Kamar is our guest this evening. He is my brother from another mother, and we're going to talk about how he thrives in his life, and we're going to lock that into different elements of human performance and what he does, training-wise, nutrition-wise, et cetera, and get a better idea, because there's not too many guys out in L.A. that are in his kind of shape and have his kind of experience. So, Kamar, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Ben. It's good. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Kamar, I think there was something missing from the bio. I seem to remember reading something about People Magazine, Latino version, Bachelor, or Sexiest Man of the Year, or something like that. Is that correct?
Well, I guess to some people, anyway. that was a long time ago,
long
man.
Time ago.
I was a young man then.
Yeah, still the sexiest man.
Yeah.
So why don't we kick it off talking a little bit about, Kamar? I mean, obviously, when you're an actor and you have to get ready for certain roles, I mean, there's a physical element involved. There's a psychological element involved as well in every role and the preparation for it. But tell us a little bit about how you prepare physically, what your current training routine is, nutrition-wise. Just shed some light on that.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that's, it's one of the less glamorous things that in my industry that's really not talked about that often. But endurance, is a big factor in my business, and I have to be physically, spiritually, mentally prepared to endure many hours of doing nothing, and then being prepared in that split second when they say, okay, we're ready for you.
Understood. Yeah.
And it takes a lot of dedication to be able to do that mental fortitude. So, for me, it starts with, and then let me go back a little bit. The fortitude is key. And then of course, and then dealing with, life on life's terms, which for me includes, 2.5-year-old rambunctious twins,
right?
That are at home waiting for me. And so I got to fulfill all, both those roles. And how do I do that without, and show up on set with, and not be exhausted and be able to remember my lines and concentrate and remember all the things that I worked on, let's say, for the character or whatever it might be. Or maybe that day I have to, jump out of a jump or hang from a building or run, run, 50 yards, 20 times.
Right.
20 different takes. So you never know, but you have to prepare for all of that.
It sounds a little analogous to a relief pitcher in Major League Baseball. It's a guy that's kind of waiting to get put in, and you have to be ready to get in the zone when they make that call from the dugout.
Right, and it's not just on this, and it's not just on set preparation. It's for us as actors, we have to be ready to go every single day, because it's also what we have to apply to the audition process. So, when they called me at 7:00 tonight and tell me, hey, you have an audition at 10 a.m. For such and such casting director, it's a big project, whatever, and I'm emailing you the sides right now, and next thing you know, you get 12 pages of dialogue.
Wow.
And that you have to learn by 10 a.m. the next morning, and you're used to putting your babies to bed at 8 and going to bed at 9. Now you have to stay up till midnight and still have the clarification, the mental clarification the following morning, and to remember everything that you studied, and then go in there and hope, and do your best. So
that's one of the things that I think that the audience is interested in, because what we're trying to talk about in this podcast is, not just surviving but thriving, and thriving, professionally, personally, but some of the practices and techniques that you might use to actually get that information the night before and be able to prepare for an audition. I think that's what they're calling now, brain hacking, that kind of thing. That's what the audience would be interested in.
Yeah. Ben, you and I have talked about it a lot, and and I try and emulate men that have men in my life that have, or human beings in my life that have things that I also want. So we've talked about, starting the day out with some protein and feeding the brain properly. Also, for me, it begins with, hydration, proper rest, not going out every single night of the week and drinking a 12-pack with my buds, and then getting up at 7:30 in the morning with my twins and expecting to be, ready to go and of my best self. It doesn't work that way. So, I'm almost 50. My body doesn't recover the way it used to. I train like, I like to think I train like I'm in my 30s, but I don't recover like I'm in my 30s. So for me to recover even close to like I was in my 30s, I have to feed myself properly. I have to get and what I mean by that is just clean and simple, and stay away from, the sugars and the flours, the white, the processed stuff, the MSGs, anything that inflames my body, Of course, MSG is disguised in so many
products,
with so many different words and used in so many different products, and we are victims. Our society is a victim of that kind of stuff, and unfortunately, and so I'm a label reader. I make sure that I don't ingest that stuff, or I try not to ingest that stuff. It's really hard not to, because it's almost in everything. We try to cook at home as often as possible. That way we know exactly what's going into our food. We like to buy from certain place, certain growers, farmers markets. We get our produce from those places also. That for us is really, really important. Hydration is key. For me, I drink, probably close to 2 gallons of water a day. And then of course I take my supplement, my minerals and supplements that I take, that are, my fish oil, my krill oil is really important. Right. But we can go down the line, but there's a lot of stuff that I do, and it's a regimen. I'm regimented that way because I know that if I slack, it's gonna affect me and what I need to be able to do every single day.
Kamar,
every single day. I don't have a day off. It's 5 days a week, and then on Saturdays, like I said, I have my, I'm 5 days a week, and then on Saturdays, Sundays, I have full time. My no help, no. The baby's on nonstop. It's nonstop.
Right. Right.
So,
Kamar, I was just going to say, it seems like you're pretty in tune with your body, and you know when things can go off the rails. You kind of feel
Yeah.
it. You eat the wrong foods, you miss your supplements, you kind of know it. It's nice to be in tune with your body the way that you are. Were you always that way, or is that something that you think you developed later in life when fitness and all of this became much more important to you?
Yeah, I think, Steve, I was always a bit of a gym rat. I've always been athletic. I've always been involved in sports my entire life since, I was probably 5 years old. I think I was on my first soccer team. But the nutrition part of it didn't come until later. And I think I think there was not as much information out there. I'm sure it was out there. But it wasn't as accessible as it is now. And then of course too, I was in my youth. Mm-hmm. So in your youth, as you guys know, we all think, we're invincible, we're Superman and nothing's going to affect us. But as you both know, if you don't treat your body properly in your youth, it will break down on you a lot sooner than you anticipate it will. And that's why you have all these catastrophic injuries that we see, in the NBA and the NFL and these kids that they're eating McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and just loading their bodies. I don't want to use the expletive, but
But you can.
You can.
Yeah, it's crap.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just crap. And you would think that these kids would, with all the money they're making, they would surround themselves. I think it's happening more and more, but not enough. Mm-hmm. You would think they would surround themselves with the right nutritionists and the right, trainers and the right people that are knowledgeable in all these different facets of their lives that they need. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of different departments, as we all know, in what they do and what I do that need to be taken care of, and they're taken care of differently. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and being an athlete, you're in your prime in your 20s and your early 30s, whereas you're still, perfecting your craft. You're a better performer, entertainer, actor today than you probably were 5 years ago, than you were 5 years before that, and you're continuing to thrive in your profession into your 50s and past that.
Yeah, it becomes more important. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it definitely becomes more important. For me, it's mentally is the mental aspect of it is
you mentioned the food labels. I'd probably guess that much of the food you eat in a given week doesn't have any labels. I always say to my patients, if it has a label, it's probably not food. If it's not going to go bad, if it's not going to go bad in a week, if it's not going to go bad in a few days, it's probably you shouldn't be eating it.
Yeah.
But as you know, Steve, and I'm sure your listeners, it's not an easy way to live. It's not an easy way to eat. Mm-hmm. Sometimes all you have access to is a supermarket, which is your normal supermarket, and that's all you can afford. Mm-hmm. And so if that is all you can afford, then you have to take that extra time and go through, the aisles and read whatever labels and get, mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The lesser of the evil, mm-hmm. Because even our I'm a big I've been doing a lot of research on the MSG thing, which is why I've been coming back to it. But even our produce is sprayed with MSG.
That's right.
Yes.
It's just out there, man. And I was on the floor this morning when I was reading and just doing a little research on some stuff.
For our audience that doesn't know the MSG, Steve, give a little explanation of what it is.
Monosodium glutamate is usually derived from some form of gluten.
Right. And it's a preservative.
And it's an excitotoxin. Mm-hmm. Excitotoxin means, glutamate is the major on switch in your brain as far as neurotransmitters go. Mm-hmm. So when people who suffer from migraines and people who have anxiety issues, mm-hmm. where they may have an imbalance in their neurotransmitters, concussions especially, mm-hmm. Glutamate excitotoxicity is what it's called. And it can cause spreading depression, and you start putting this crap in your food. Growing up here in New York, being Greek, the diner business, my father used to make fun of all the restaurants that used to put Chinese salt. He called it Chinese salt. Goes, yeah, you put Chinese salt in anything, it's going to taste great. And what he was talking about was MSG.
Right. Interesting. Wow. Yeah. So for our audience who doesn't know that, but it's a huge preservative.
Well, and you know what, Ben, and for our Latino audience, as you know, Puerto Ricans, I mean, Goya, adobo, all that stuff is loaded with MSG. Yet,
completely.
Our people are, sazon. So it's all the, it's those things that you kind of go, look, all that stuff that they say, they're giving you in the seasoning bottle, whatever. I know it's a little easier to just go out and buy that, but you can make it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You can make it yourself.
This is why people are addicted to McDonald's French fries. It's that salt shaker that, I mean, think about the McDonald's French fry. Is nothing more disgusting, but people are absolutely physically addicted to it.
No, it's a neurological addiction. Yeah, there's no question about it. Yeah, so the nutrition has played a bigger part in your ability to thrive as you've become more of a seasoned actor in your profession and personally.
Absolutely.
Now, what are some of the things that you do, let's call it recovery-wise? Let's say you're on set for, 2 or 3 weeks and you're working 14-hour days. What kind of different practices help you to recover for the next day? Because I assume that after a few days, that's going to take a toll on your body.
Yeah. I'm a big... Look, I know a lot of. I used to be, a guy that did a lot of meditating, and then I realized that I was meditating because everybody else was meditating, and it really wasn't. it really wasn't my thing. But I would sit for 20 minutes or whatever, and it did give me some ability to. I guess I would disconnect for a little while. But it was never really my thing. So I needed to find a way to, and I'm not a nap guy. I don't nap. So I cut, I've cut back on my caffeine intake. So mid-afternoon when I'm like, what do I do? How do I get that that extra burst of energy that I need for the next 3 or 4 hours? And so. For me, I'm a big proponent of ELDOA. For me, ELDOA creates it. Not only does it make me feel better physically, but it creates postural awareness. And I know that when I am of right posture, then I am of right mind.
Okay, so for the audience, there is a podcast we did on ELDOA, but just for the sake of this podcast, ELDOA is an osteopathic technique that was developed by a Dr. Guy Voyer that I've worked with Kamar for at least 7 or 8 years in different postures in the ELDOA system.
Hey, and let me just say this for really quick, and I apologize for interrupting, Ben. I want the audience to know that just because you and I work together, I'm in no way plugging ELDOA. I do ELDOA because it works. And let me just say this: every minute that I do it, I fucking hate it.
It sucks.
I hate it because it's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy.
It's really hard.
But it works.
Yeah.
And if you want to be proactive, like I am, and you want to avoid surgery, for me, and specifically cervical surgery, then I need to do my ELDOA.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
So Kamar hit on something very, very important because we were talking about recovery, and he said, rather than take that afternoon coffee, I'm going to do some ELDOA because I feel like I have a greater postural awareness. So to dabble the conversation with a little science, one of the benefits of ELDOA is that you are improving what's called the gravity line, which is how you maintain your posture when you stand on the floor with your own one force of gravity or one gravitational force on your body. Now, when you can manage that in a more efficient way, Steve can talk on it a little bit more, but you are more glycogen efficient. So if you have the bottom line is, if you have bad posture, you waste more energy and you get tired sooner. And the way you got to think about it is think about one of those seniors that you see in the street that is very kyphotic with the rounded shoulders, and you've seen some of them that are kind of hunched over, and they have to take a nap at 3 o'clock because it's a lot of work to keep yourself in that posture. So the better that his is, which is probably not noticeable to the naked eye, but he knows it because he feels it, the more efficient he is at utilizing energy, and the less glycogen he uses during the normal course of a day. So,
and again, I can apply that to everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's, you know, physical, mental, whatever it is, it gives me that extra glycogen that I need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, Kamar,
You know?
we in our podcast, we talk about smart exercises and dumb exercises. And dumb exercises don't mean that you have to be stupid to do them. Dumb exercises are exercises that you can do a million other things while you're doing the exercise. So walking on a treadmill or using the elliptical machine requires very little neurological expenditure. It's just muscular expenditure of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're jumping rope, however, that's a smarter exercise. You can't really think about writing your next book while you're jumping rope because it's a neurologically active. There's balance involved. You're engaging your brain.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything more brain engaging than ELDOA because you're asking that part of the nervous system to work until you're screaming, and you know what it feels like. That's why you hate it. It's not like you're running a marathon.
No, it's maximum.
It's all neurological expenditure. And it brings me back to the beginning of this conversation where you said, I need to be physically on my game because mentally I got to be sharp when I get that fax with the 12 pages I got to memorize after I put the kids to bed and do the next morning. Mm-hmm. You got to have mental clarity and focus and concentration. All these kids, they're lacking that. They're taking these medications for attention deficit disorder so they can study. Mm-hmm. A lot of college kids are taking it because their brain is so inefficient at producing energy or utilizing energy. ELDOA, I believe what you're saying, is a technique that engages that fitness, that neurological energy production fitness that we're looking for.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly correct. Exactly right.
At the same time, stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is what Kamar needs.
I should, I couldn't have said it better myself. I need to bring you guys along with me everywhere I go.
We will.
Hey,
we'll be there.
By the way, this is what so what he means to say is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, talk to my guys over here.
Hey, Kamar, can I ask you a question? One of the things in your bio that are fascinating is what you did with the Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which I think is one of the more popular video games to have ever been
I broke all records.
Broke all the records. But you got to do some touring around the world with that character, right?
I did. I think it was one of the biggest perks of being able to do that game. I had done some USO tours prior to Black Ops, but it had been a few years, and so when I did this game, my wife and I actually were the ones who kind of went, "This is a perfect opportunity, perfect vehicle to use to be able to get back out there and salute our troops around the world." And so I reached out to I got the approval from Activision, and I reached out to I had my people reach out to the USO people, and they loved the idea, and the rest is history. I got to go I went to Afghanistan. I went out to Guam, been to Japan,
And you got to work out with these guys, right? You got to
I did.
engage.
Yeah, I did. I would go to the gym every morning with these guys. Some of them Navy SEALs, some, just, Army guys, all cool, really cool dudes. I'd get up at Afghanistan. I think I'd wake up at like 4:30 in the morning, the entire time you're out there, the entire time you're working out, you're expecting, a mortar to come in, and you're waiting for that alarm.
Yeah.
And that's because you have like 30 seconds to go from, the gym to get to a bunker. So basically, you stay put is what they tell you. Just, hit the ground because you ain't going to make it. So if that mortar for whatever is aimed at the gym that day, but yeah. So imagine having to work out with that in the back of your mind, all the time. I mean, I'm talking about these kids that are there, that are there, these young men and women that are there. I shouldn't call them kids, these young men and women that, but it was a great experience for me. I'm extremely humbled,
there aren't too many situations where somebody in there
and by what these young men and women do for us on a daily basis.
I agree. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say there's very few situations where you can be a middle-aged man and be surrounded by 18 to 22-year-olds and be completely inspired and in awe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, these kids put their hearts out there, on the line for us, blood, sweat, and tears, man. And when you see these young men and women and the responsibilities they have, whether you agree, with what we're doing over there or not, you can't help but, admire and respect what these young men and women do for us.
Right. I agree. Amen. Wow. So let's go back to the training, because I feel like, from what I know, working with several actors, I mean, you're different in a sense that this is your philosophy year round, whereas a lot of actors, like fighters, they're gonna get ready for a role. It seems like you are always thinking about staying in shape and as sharp as possible, mentally, physically, spiritually, and even when that role is not right around the corner.
Yeah, and look, I don't know what other actors do. I'm sure they have other ways of staying fit. Mm-hmm. But part of my regimen is the physical aspect. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's, I like to say, I not only enjoy hitting, but I enjoy taking a hit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So mm-hmm. I'm just one of those guys, and I like to do it all the time, and it's necessary for me and my psyche. Mm-hmm. And there's times when I like to think I let myself go or whatever, but I can't. It doesn't work for me that way. So I got to do what's right for me.
Yeah, you got to listen to your body. You got to listen to your mind, and
and I gotta listen to what keeps me, mentally and physically healthy, and spiritually healthy. And for me, that involves working out and staying in shape and eating right, and that's all part of it. I let that go and forget it. Everything else will just start to it's like a domino effect.
Now, Kamar, are you into any other forms of more relaxation things like saunas or, massage? And are you one of those guys that needs to be?
Yes. So to answer your question, Steve, yes. I have soft tissue work done and chiropractic work done and cupping and needles and acupuncture, and I get that done once a week. I get a massage probably once every 2 weeks. That's all. And then of course, when I have the opportunity to get out to the East Coast or Ben's in town, he always works with me, and we take my my therapy to another session, to another level.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is good. Okay, let's do this now. Let's try this now and see where I'm at, because it's like, I'm getting older every day.
Yeah.
So I got to keep up with it. It doesn't. I can't get complacent. I can't go, okay, so ELDOA, C7, T1, and C3, C4 is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. No, I think at some point, I'm going to have to apply T8, T9, T6, T7, or whatever, because that's going to be necessary in my life, or whatever it might be. But I got to keep evolving, and again, like I said earlier, being proactive.
For the audience too, having worked with Kamar for a while, and just in an age that we live in, where we live in a YouTube digital age where everybody's doing the new trendy form of exercise, bar classes, and everything changes exponentially. I can attest to the fact that... Or
really bad CrossFit and throwing...
I didn't want to say, but you threw it out there. You just pulled the pin out of the grenade and just threw it right in the room. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what I want the audience to know is that, and you can elaborate, is that you keep it very basic. And when I mean very basic, I don't mean boring. I mean basic, but efficient and effective.
Yes.
And
so for me is it's important to stay strong, and to look good, and I do. I keep it very very simple, very basic, but I dare anyone to train with me. I train 50 minutes nonstop. I attack my body and but I know, again, I go back to postural awareness, how important form is, and for me in training. But yeah, I do. I train 50 minutes, and
deadlifts,
3-4
squats, pull-ups,
deadlifts,
dips,
squats. Yeah.
Kamar, it's funny how you were saying we're keeping it simple, but what was great about this last little part of our conversation is, getting your annual physical and treating your symptoms with your doctor once a year is kind of like what our generation was raised to actually believe. But here you are, you're talking about being proactive, and you rattled off cupping, acupuncture, chiropractic, massage therapy, sauna. You rattled, and these are things that you try to do once a week, and that is...
Dr. G, that was really, really important what you said, proactive.
That's being proactive.
We live in an age of reactive.
And when we're talking about thriving, which is what this podcast is about, it's about thriving and how we thrive. People who thrive are doing chiropractic, massage, acupuncture, pushing their body to a limit at a time in your life when most people are slowing down. You're probably pushing it to new limits, So, Kamar, what we were talking about was really just about pushing your body to a limit where, you said you attack the gym, you attack your body in the gym. You said before you're right around the 50-year mark. How would you compare? What if 50-year-old Kamar ran into a 25-year-old Kamar in a back alley somewhere? Would it be a good fight?
It wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close. I trained the way I do so that I could do the things I love. I enjoy training, don't get me wrong, but I trained so that I could, for instance, build, a playground for my two sons, which required me to, bring over, 600 pounds of decomposed granite up the side of a hill, a wheelbarrow at a time.
Strongman shit.
And I'm talking, Ben will tell you I live on the side of a hill. Yesterday I spent the entire day from 8 till 6 p.m. building a jungle gym, for my children. Lifting rock, breaking concrete. These are the things I personally love to do. I love to landscape. Walking up and down the side of my hill is no easy feat, but you spend it just on its own. But if you spend a day landscaping on the side of a hill, man, let me tell you, if you're not in shape, your core, your pelvis, your glutes, you're going to pay the price the following day.
Understood.
In a big way.
Yeah.
So I understand my body much better than I did when I was 25. I know what my capabilities are at 49. I'm stronger than I was at 25. But the difference is that I just listen to my body better. Although Ben will tell you, sometimes, I digress, and I have my 21-year-old moments, and I pay the price for those, because I like to say I do age appropriate workouts, but that's really not true. I just, like we were going back to earlier, like we spoke about earlier, I have a basic workout, but I hit it hard. I hit it hard, and I think, but I think listening to my body is the one thing that, and just understanding and listening, and it makes me, like listening to you guys, and those are all parts of training, becoming a better listener, and which makes me a better learner, and then I could apply, the things that you guys teach me to my workouts and to my daily life.
That's interesting, because that's your personal definition of thriving, is being able to do those things on your property and getting the enjoyment you can. And that's why that you do the things you do with your training in the gym and your nutrition and your recovery, is to allow you to thrive in that fashion.
And then finish that, and then come inside and be present for 2.5-year-old twins, and do dinner and do bath time and then read a book, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, so that's all part of the regimen also.
Yeah, that's what that.
It's funny how so many of the things that Kamar is talking about is basically can only be done when you're unplugged. He's outside. He's in the sun. He's reading a book. It's analog. It's not digital.
Yeah,
100%.
And it's not, or, and I'm not saying that this is bad, but it's only bad if you're doing it all the time. Or, I could choose to grab a 6-pack, sit on the fucking couch, and watch television and because I just don't have the energy or the fortitude to engage not only in my, let alone, in my children's lives, but let alone my own life.
Yeah, I recently heard a podcast that they were talking about this very topic, and the host described it really well as what we call voluntary discomfort. So you put yourself through those workouts and that level of discipline so that your parameters get set to a whole new level. So the things that you enjoy doing really don't seem that hard relative to doing your workouts and relative to doing ELDOA. Like, it's like, it's not that really big a deal, landscaping or doing the stuff inside the house or playing with the kids, because my workouts really put me at another level. My recovery stuff really
that's
sets
exactly
the
right.
parameter at a different level. And I get that, especially when you get a little bit older. It's almost like, I'm going to try to see where I can take this. And everything else seems relatively simple after that.
Yeah.
I know that feeling that you get when you finish a workout. It's like, that was probably one of the most productive things in my day. Like, everything else seems like ordinary, right? Yeah. So
yeah, exactly right. I mean, but I will take, like, let's say you mentioned, like the strongman stuff, and I will take that. And that day, let's say I can't make it into the gym, I'll use that as a workout. I will, not only will I push a barrel up the side of my hill, but I'll take lunge steps. I'll make it more difficult on me because a 60-pound, wheelbarrow filled with sand doesn't, necessarily fatigue me. So, it might fatigue me, on my 30th trip, but it's going to fatigue me even more if I'm taking deep lunges on the way up my hill with 60 pounds.
Right. That's a whole nother game.
Being aware of the opportunities that are in front of you to get that mild uncomfortable feeling. So
correct.
Right, so we're gonna we here at the Thriveless Manifesto, we like to close out every interview with a couple of rapid fire questions. So you have to answer the first thing.
I'm
that
not very
comes
good
to
at
your mind.
rapid fire questions. I'm just telling you that right now.
But I don't know. But you just responded pretty quick to that, so you're under the gun. You ready? All right. First answer that comes to mind. All-time favorite movie for an actor. This is a good one. Go.
Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah. Favorite book.
Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't believe it.
Come back to it. Greatest athlete of all time.
Favorite athlete?
Greatest athlete in your mind of all time.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. Woo! One person that you'd like to interview, alive or deceased.
Barack Obama.
Highlight of your professional career.
Working at Joe Papp's Public Theater.
Favorite book.
Man, it's on the end of my tongue. I can't believe I don't remember it. Kite Runner. Thank you.
Ooh, nice. Well, Kamar, this has been awesome. You have shed light on how Steve and I deal with pro athletes, as you know, and you've shed light on how someone in your realm, in your environment, utilizes tools of human performance to thrive professionally and personally. And we really thank you and appreciate your time, and wish you continued success, not just professionally but personally. And again, thank you, and our audience thanks you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, Steve, and thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Okay.
As you guys know, you guys are a big part of my life. So thanks for everything. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care, Kamar. And this is Ben V and Dr. G with the Thriveless Manifesto. Till next time.